up, everybody, and welcome to yet another episode of These Corona Times. I almost wish we were doing this live because it's a Saturday night special. You know,
I don't like
Saturday
Saturday
night
night
special.
special.
Saturday night special.
I wish I had a red light. I wish I had a red
Yes,
lens.
this is the Corona After Dark that we have been longing to record.
Brenda's hair is down and everything.
Yes, we got.
Just flowing.
Yeah. Giving you his luxurious locks.
Oh no.
We like to kick it off with a laugh. It just gets the recording going. But, we want to welcome you back to These Corona Times. You are locked in with your girl, Tiffany, Dr. Simone, and your boy, Brandon. Yes, Brandon, you're back to going last this time.
It's okay. I'll accept that. It's all
Your time
good.
has ended. We are bringing you episode 37 tonight. Did we? Does it have a title? Yes.
Yes, women's health and nutrition.
Yes, we've been bouncing around different topics. So I was not sure if that was the title for tonight, but yes, women's health and nutrition. And I will not orient you. I will save that for Brandon. Instead, I will just again say thank you so much for joining us. We do always appreciate you all watching. Last week's episode concluded Love Month, normalizing loving your friends because it takes a village. And this is my village just shaking their head at me the whole time right now.
The whole month. We were shaking our head. That's it.
But it was a good episode. Enjoyed the conversation. Enjoyed the engagement. Hope you all will watch and share and comment as well. Hope you all do the same with this episode. And if you are watching, then that means it's Monday at 8 o'clock. So we appreciate you joining us on our Facebook page at These Corona Times. You can also find us on our YouTube channel at These Corona Times. And hey, if you need a link, let me tell you, we'll send you.
We'll send it with the quickness.
We will.
Yes.
We will.
That's what we was doing in the early days. I was anyway.
Email blast.
Sending links.
I just watched it.
Yep. So here we are. It is Saturday night. We don't normally record on Saturday, but this feels good to do this. So how did y'all take care of yourselves this past week?
What is self-care? What is that? I don't.
Self-care. Did I fail again? I failed.
It's
and I'm gonna fail again
guys.
this week.
It is. It actually is gotten a little bit worse. I will say what I'm doing in the future, but I know this week I didn't do very good.
Yeah. That's the same. I think collectively we have moaned and groaned on our polos this week. When we've talked to each other daily, it's just been a long week, and I don't know. I think maybe the thing I did for self-care this week was sit on the couch and watch All American because people were threatening me.
That's true.
It's rare when I get super hyped about something, but I was telling
Brandon was. He was really hyped. He was.
He was in the Velveteen Cotton Rabbit.
Yes, Velveteen Rabbit.
Watch.
Cold in the basement. Cold.
Do y'all remember? Was it oh man, what movie was that with Taye Diggs and gosh, remember the Rapping Dalmatians?
Was that it was Brown Sugar? Is that what it was called?
Yes, that's it.
Yeah.
But I don't know why when I see you in there, I think of the Rapping Dalmatians. I don't know why. There's no spots, but the jumps, like the jumps, yes. Looking thing, I don't know. So that's where my mind goes. But I agree with you. I think that making time to just sit back and watch a favorite show was self-care. And that would be, of course, All American, and then the other one that we watch.
Queen Sugar?
Yes. I don't have words tonight. Queen Sugar. Yes, Brandon doesn't watch that. And we're going to talk about that because we have our anniversary episode coming up. Anniversary of COVID shutting our lives down.
Yeah.
So we'll talk more about that because Queen Sugar took me to a place, and I think it took Tiffany to a place too, of like nostalgia, not a good nostalgia. Like, okay. So I would say that was it for me too. Making time to watch shows and just kind of turn off the computer. Mm-hmm.
Brandon had some self-care. You went out and took
a walk. What was it? Did you?
Actually, you know what I did? You're right. I did take a walk. I took a walk on my lunch break. I had a long lunch break and actually talked to a newer neighbor and just kind of chopped it up with him a little bit. And it was a good break. I am a creature that needs that person to person type interaction, and I need to be outside. And being cooped up in my basement all day, every day is just not good for my psyche. But I was able to get out a couple times this week and kind of walk. Take my daughter out for a walk, take the dog out for a walk, and everything like that. So yeah, I actually did do something.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay.
I was gonna say that taking London to the park was self-care, but the park is the levels of anxiety are high at the park. I couldn't really be comfortable. It was nice to be outside, but I was just looking at the kids like, ooh, why would you touch that?
Yeah. And yeah, we went to the park today too. We had a really nice walk, so I guess that was self-care. But when you walk past the playground and have to explain to Caden why he can't get on the playground, like not yet, keep moving. Don't touch those children. If you touch them, we will leave you here. No,
right.
So yeah, the park is not a little stressed with the park now. But so like we were saying, our title is Women's Health and Nutrition. We probably could have said Black women's health and nutrition because we're going to talk about health and nutrition for women, but we're going to talk about Black women. I won't orient much further, but we always acknowledge Black folks in our community doing good things. And so we wanted to acknowledge a couple of nutritionists, dietitians who are Black on Instagram. There was an interesting stat that I just read and I meant to keep it up and I didn't. Here it is. It says that current stats estimate that Black dietitians make up only 2.3% of all dietitians. And so that is a staggering number. I find in, lots of different, professions that, there's just not enough of us. So we wanted to highlight a couple of different Instagrammers who are doing really good things. One is at Nutrition Tea. Another one is at Black.Nutritionist, and another one is at Encouraging Dietitian. And we picked those because Brandon actually, I think you follow them and you already know a little bit about them.
I do. And it's those individuals. What I like about them is one, the Black nutritionist. Yeah, Black nutritionist. She talks a lot about decolonizing your plate. And that's, to me, that's a super dope thing. And I will even admit for myself, for a while, it's easy to say what ails Black folks is, oh, we eating too much soul food. And, that's that whole thing of all we eat is fried chicken and this, that, and the other. And is it the soul food, or is it the fact that we live in food deserts? Is it soul food, or is it the fact that, our healthcare isn't so great? Is it soul food, or this, that, and the other? And one of her recent posts was quinoa is not better than red beans and it's not better than beans and rice. And so we have this thought process about what is healthy. And like Simone said, only 2% of dietitians are Black, right? So you have what's healthy coming from primarily white individuals who I would guess and assume don't have a lot of knowledge about our culture, right? So they know quinoa is healthy, but they may see red beans and rice as something else, or a beef patty as something else, or a piece of fried chicken is something else. All those type things. So it's pretty dope to kind of see people starting to kind of push back against the narrative that what Black people are doing is just bad and is not making them healthy.
Would you say that our white brother and sister and nutritionalists suffer from an absence of flavor?
But it's funny, and when you think about it, and again, not to get too ahead of myself, but y'all know this is my range. This is where I love to talk about. And when you hear people talk to Black folks about what's healthy and what's not, one of the first things they kind of do is I got to eat this grilled chicken without a lot of seasoning and white rice and broccoli that's XYZ. Like, where's the taste? Where's the this? Where's the that? And so, it's times are changing a little bit.
Times are changing a little bit. I want us to be also just clear about the fact that, and I don't know a lot about either profession, but nutritionists and dietitians, they're different, and people use the terms interchangeably, but they are different, correct?
They are. So, a dietitian, if someone is a registered dietitian, they are basically a chemist.
Okay.
So a registered dietitian has to, because a registered dietitian, so for me, I have a fitness nutrition certification. I know a lot about nutrition. I can go back and forth with a lot of people. What separates me from a registered dietitian is a registered dietitian can create a meal plan, a specific meal plan for any type of health condition. If you come to me and you say, hey, I need you to teach me how to eat, but I have some type of cancer, that's out of my scope of work. I cannot help you. I have to refer you legally. I have to refer you to a registered dietitian. Registered dietitians, they work by themselves. They have their own businesses, but a lot of hospitals will employ registered dietitians, especially now during COVID, because there are certain things that you may need during COVID, during your recovery from COVID, right? So there is a difference between a registered dietitian and someone who has, maybe a certification. A nutritionist, that term, a nutritionist and registered dietitian can be used interchangeably, and depending on the state, it's okay to use them interchangeably. But so, for instance, in Kentucky, anybody can call them. I think in Kentucky, anyone can call themselves a nutritionist. But in Indiana, you have to have a board certification for XYZ. So that changes whether you can use the word nutritionist in your title or not. That depends on the state that you're in. But nobody can say they're a registered dietitian unless you're a registered dietitian. That is getting a 4-year degree in either something geared towards that, chemistry, whatnot. And I want to say about 1,200 extra hours of interning to get that. And then, of course, becoming board certified. So being registered dietitian, if someone says they're a registered dietitian, that's the top of the top right there.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's hard. Okay. It's hard work.
Good. Thank you
for
good
question. Very good question, Simone.
Yeah. So maybe we can put an insert in of those 3 professionals that we talked about.
Those 3 are all registered. They're all registered dietitians.
Registered dietitians. Okay.
Yeah, also, they call themselves different things, but they're all registered dietitians.
Okay. Yeah, and I think, I was just thinking about, as you were talking about how trendy some of these foods are, like quinoa is really cool, to talk about all the different things you can do. Back in the day, it was all about acai berries, which I still can't spell.
I remember that. Yeah.
I can't spell acai. It doesn't look like it's spelled, but that was like this trendy thing that was so healthy. And who knows what in the world that was, but some people would just buy it because, it's acai. Well, what the heck is that?
Now it's ashwagandha.
It's what?
Ashwagandha. Is that how you say it?
I ain't never heard of that.
Ashwagandha. Yeah.
That's like somebody's name. Ashwagandha.
Somebody might be named Ashwagandha.
Come here, Ashwagandha.
But somebody on Instagram, there is a Hispanic dietitian that I follow, and she was joking about the foods that are now popular and how she was like, when we grew up, avocados were like super cheap and plentiful, and And that was kind of like the man, you ate it, but it wasn't like a special thing. And now fast forward, now and it's avocado toast and it's
You gotta
avocado
have
on
your
this,
avocado.
avocado on that, and it's guacamole on this. And so avocados are like this big superfood now. And 10, 15 years ago, avocados were like
didn't know what it was. Yeah. Didn't know what it was.
Well, avocado is a good example of something that is healthy, but it can be unhealthy. Like if you eat a bunch of avocados, that's not the best thing. Like even if you eat a whole avocado at once.
Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth when you're talking to me. I feel attacked.
Wow.
I did too.
I
feel attacked. The calories of the avocado, I was like, how could this be? The avocado is my friend, but it was working against me at that time.
From the Lord, leave the avocado alone. Yeah, that's a good point. And not only that, this whole or we didn't write this in the notes. We're just riffing right now, but our like the organic situation, the organic food section. I'm like, don't even get me started, okay? Maybe that's what we need. I don't know, but I'm not buying. I'm not buying it.
Let me tell
$8 for 2 pieces of lettuce. I'm not doing it.
Just because it says organic in front of it.
Right.
That's some of the, like, one of these days, maybe one of these things, I'm gonna do a whole nutrition label type deal and talk about how basically everything you read on a nutrition label is trash, and it's meant to confuse you and make you buy it. Like it doesn't mean anything.
Right. So, I mean, is this the orientate? Have you already oriented us? Is there more to say? Or should we just
that's not much more to say. We've pretty much done the orientation already.
Okay.
We're talking about women, Black women, and nutrition and health. So there you go.
That's basically it. But also, I will add this. It is Women's History Month, right? And at the end, it's Women's History Month, and it's also National Nutrition Month. So we wanted to kind of combine those two things because women, specifically Black women, have terrible health outcomes in a lot of situations. With Black women, the leading cause of death is high blood pressure. We're going to talk a little bit more about mortality rates during childbearing and things along those lines as well. But Black women get the short end of the stick when it comes to a lot of health things. So we wanted to kind of highlight that because I don't think it's talked about as much as it should. Well, not I. We don't think it's talked about as much as it should be.
Yeah. And that's something else that's coming up for me that I want to talk about with that leading. Would you say blood pressure?
Yeah.
In Black women?
Heart disease. Heart disease is a leading cause of death for Black women.
Okay. So one of the first things we wrote about on here was to kind of messages that we've learned about health and nutrition over the years from our elders. And I think about growing up Adventist and all the foods that we eat. And I think about the Big Frank.
Don't come for the Big
Frank. The Big Franks and the grillers and the fries and
dinner roast.
Yes, the dinner. And I just think, okay, we were taught a lot of times a lot of folks are vegetarian. They don't eat meat, but a lot of stuff that we eat has a lot of sodium, and doesn't seem to be the best for you. But I grew up feeling like, oh, I'm eating healthy, but I don't think I understood what eating healthy was until later.
I think that's that's right up there with the avocados. I think when we say we're eating a more plant-based diet or we're eating more meat substitutes, you just assume that they're healthier because it's not meat. You're not getting the same, exposure to the animal or whatever, for whatever reason you're going vegetarian or whatnot. You're not getting the dairy products in you or whatnot.
Flesh.
Yeah, you're not getting the flesh. You're not eating the pleasures of the flesh, but it's really salty. It's really salty.
Yes, it is.
And I mean, you're talking about like at those dinners or whatever, we're going through 3 or 4 pieces of something.
The thousands.
Like one piece of. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm talking about like those 2 pieces may be your whole sodium for the whole week just because it's
so
high.
Real.
So high. Yeah. So that's one of those like, I don't know, like one of those myths of healthy eating or eating right. Like just because you're vegetarian doesn't necessarily mean it's really better.
Yeah. And it doesn't go with our Adventist health message. Not really. Not really. But that's another story. That's not what Adam and Eve was eating.
We ain't got that much time tonight.
We don't.
On that.
Yeah. From that, one of the messages I received is not to look. Like, I've never looked at portion sizes or calories until I was much older. You know, growing up, you eat what's put before you. And then it's kind of like just blindly trusting the person that made it to, you know, trust it's healthy. Because I didn't go in the kitchen and ask, hey, what you putting in that? That's too much butter. Or, you know, how much sugar? I didn't ask those questions. I didn't feel the need to ask those questions.
Because it was vegetarian, so it didn't matter how it was cooked, how much gravy was on it. As long as it was vegetarian, it was good for you, right?
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. I think another thing was eating and then going to lay down and sleep afterward.
Ooh, I feel
that's what you spot.
that is personally attacking me.
That food, and you take your Sabbath nap, or just a nap if it's any other day,
or your Sunday nap.
Totally fine. Yeah, and it's fine.
One thing about our people, when we eat, we're going to sleep.
We're gonna go to sleep
right after.
Yes. So
and I know for us, you know, when you talk about Adventists and everything like that, which is what we identify as, you know, I think there are differences because, you know, one of the quote unquote blue zones is out in Loma Linda where they don't necessarily eat a whole bunch of this stuff, but we tend to do it. And when we're talking about this stuff, we recognize, I think the three of us recognize that there is a place for meat substitutes. There's a place for that, but as always, there's nuance, and sometimes we just get stuck eating those. And you know, those types of foods are supposed to wean you off of the meat, and then you're supposed to go to something a little more natural. But that's how, again, time for a whole nother segment. I never growing up, my dad tried to make us a vegetarian for a little while. That didn't work. You know, I was sneaking burgers here and there. Sneaking
off the KFC, huh?
sneaking that chicken here and
chicken
there.
Under his bed.
And you know, it just wasn't gone. But nobody was ever teaching me. I never got taught, you know, what eating healthy was and what's a calorie and fitness or anything like that growing up.
Well, the education is helpful. Like, just now at the ripe old age of 36, knowing to look on the back of something and being like, oh, if you're only supposed to have 4 nuggets, just eat the 4 nuggets. Don't eat 8 because although you can probably handle 8, the sodium is going to be way too high. You know, so just learning how to eat the serving size is a good education piece. And that's for any food, not just the vegetarian things, but just learning to eat your actual serving size and not going above that is good. It's good to know.
Yeah. I could go on and on about different messages, but we did write on here talking about heart health and that being the leading cause of death for Black women. And you know that I don't even think about that. We don't talk about that enough. I think in our communities, I mean, I think diabetes is down there below somewhere, but that's what I think about because everybody and I forget how bad and how destructive diabetes is to our bodies because so many people have it. And it's like, no, that's a really big deal.
It is.
But what did you want to share about heart health, Brandon?
Well, when it comes to, of course, as we're looking at heart health again being the leading cause of death for Black women, that's a huge deal. And there are a couple of things I did want to bring up for it. So we do have a stroke survivor on the call, Tiff.
Yup.
Yeah. But there are a lot of differences, not a lot, but there are differences in the way strokes are perceived from men and women. So I have here, I'm on the Go Red for Women website, goredforwomen.org, and symptoms in men and women. So of course we know about the numbness and weakness in the face, trouble speaking, vision problems, this, that, and the other. But additional symptoms for women could be general weakness, disorientation, confusion, or memory problems, fatigue, nausea, or vomiting. So again, those type of issues can be sometimes brushed up under the rug because we could associate those with totally different things.
Exactly.
So men and women experience strokes in a different way.
Yeah.
And so it's something to really kind of be cognizant of when we're looking at heart health and things along those lines.
And then also just women, I would say women carry stress differently than men, and stress can be a silent killer of its own. I mean, in the hospital after I had my stroke, the other question was, "Are you stressed out?" And I was like, "Of course I'm stressed out." I was in the middle of running a service when I had a stroke. Yes, I'm stressed out. I'm busy. But that's like Brandon said, a lot of those things we just kind of, I felt tired that day. I didn't think about it. Probably didn't sleep well. Got up early. Of course I'm tired. Just things that we kind of like knock off as regular symptoms because, everything could be something else. We say that a lot. Everything could be something else. So it never dawned on me, oh, you're having a stroke until I was actually having a stroke. But I experienced fatigue that day. I experienced confusion and memory loss that day. I just chalked it up to a regular day when I'm running around trying to do 10 different things. So, it did not hit me until it hit me.
Another thing to look at as well is one thing I found, it was very interesting. Women who have cardiac arrest are more likely to die than men. So looking at here, 68% of women who experience cardiac arrest outside of a hospital receive resuscitation attempts, CPR attempt from a bystander compared to 73% of men. All right. That 8% or 5% may not feel like a big deal. That's a pretty big deal. Of those who were resuscitated, around 12.5% survived to be discharged from the hospital compared to 20% for men. Wow.
Why is that, Brandon?
Let me. No, I think there were a couple of things that I did read about that. So one thing is, of course, we don't understand a lot of times when women are having those cardiac events, just like we were talking about. A lot of times when we see men have cardiac events, where do we kind of hit?
Yeah.
You're having some chest pain. If you're starting to have, to me, that's an automatic. If someone's talking about their chest is hurting and it's still hurting, that's a hospital visit right there. We call in the ER. We call in the ambulance for that. But for women, as we're saying, oh, I feel tired. Women are super women. So, I mean, nothing sticks out for that. Oh, I'm just having memory issues. Well, I mean, a lot of women have a lot of stuff going on in the brain, right? So, it's a lot of things that we don't even think about when it comes to that. So that's one thing. Another site that I was looking at talked about some other things as well. How many of us have practiced CPR on a woman-shaped dummy?
Do they even have female-shaped dummies?
I've never practiced on a woman.
Me either. It's always been a male.
It's always been male. So
y'all remember when they brought the CPR dummy to the church to try to teach us CPR? I don't think do y'all remember that? Oh, well, they did, and there were no women. I remember.
Well, I worked for 2 years, and so it's never been a woman. So we have that going on. Then we also have, they were looking at, this was kind of a survey type deal, and they have that some men were worried about performing CPR on a woman because, again, we're looking in the chest and breast area. So they were like,
right.
Don't touch it.
Yeah. They got to think about that now.
Yeah, and you have to think about those things now, right? So it's a couple of factors that go into that. But so we have that cardiac events happen often in women, and they don't get treated as fast by bystanders. CPR is proven to save lives.
Yeah.
Right. And so, but that's something that's less likely to be done on women than it is to be on men.
And that's a gender specific health disparity.
Right.
Exactly.
That could be, since it's highlighted, can be and should be addressed. And I think wanting to go back to something you talked about before was like the, stress in, women's lives, and particularly Black women, is that strong strong Black woman myth, right? And we're learning like we like to be thought of as strong, and we are strong, and also to take that on and to shoulder all of the things that we shoulder without taking care of ourselves is not good. And we have to learn to ask for help and and set limits with people. You know, I think about, you know, being raised by a single mother and all the stress that goes into that for my mom. And, you know, I know, Tiffany, you experienced similar, you know, upbringing, and how important it is to have that village. And I was thinking about when you were talking about, you know, being tired and how like nobody really pays attention to that in women, Black women. It's like, okay, well, yeah, of course you're tired. You deal with your kids, you got to go to work. Exactly. With the confusion, you know, we talk about, don't let you have just had a baby. We talk about pregnancy brain. Oh, pregnancy brain. Yeah, you can't remember anything. Oh, that's normal. It'll go away. You know, so there are just so many things that are overlooked, and we do it to ourselves. And we have to stop doing that and take better care of ourselves and take care of each other.
Yeah.
You know, not to, because I am not a woman.
Can't tell this long hair tonight.
But I think it goes to a couple of things, right? It goes to really being in tune with your body and knowing when something is off.
That is extremely important. I will say
that's extremely important, because we know that there are some normalcies that go on in our bodies, and we need to be in tune with ourselves to understand, like, whoa, that's not normal. What's going on? And we have to establish, and unfortunately, we have to put forth the effort to really have providers that have our best interests at heart. So that doesn't happen that's not going to just magically happen. We have to put forth the effort there. And, you know, I will speak for myself. You know, my kids' doctors are Black, and there is a reason for that.
Absolutely.
There is, when we were looking for a pediatrician, that was high up on the list. I need someone who is in tune with Dr. Elliot Thompson, Springs Pediatrics. You know, I need someone who's in tune with my kids to understand what's going on and what's not. You know, my daughter, we believe, has ADHD, for instance. And so he was like, let's hope. Some doctors would be like, let's put her on medication. And so he's like, nah, we're not doing that yet. Let's wait and see what happens for a couple of years. Let's see what goes on. So having that type of dialogue, I trust him to do what's best for my kids.
Yeah. And go ahead, Tiff.
I was gonna say that education of listening to your body, sometimes, unfortunately, it doesn't come until after you've had some sort of incident, because we don't learn that. Again, we just take the things and, oh, they're just things that, and you can probably chalk them up to other things. Again, didn't sleep well, that's why I might be tired. I'm running around a lot, that's why I might be forgetting stuff. But, you know, that was one of the keys of my that I had to listen to during my 6 week of recovery, is just keep listening to your body. You know, if your body's telling you you're tired, sit down, you're tired. You know, if you're getting headaches, you're probably stressed, sit down, stop looking at the screen. You know, just things like that I've really tried to incorporate going forward, so that I'm not pushing myself so far where I need to go back to the emergency room or being sick again. So really learning to take in what your body is telling you. Simone, when you're hungry, eat. You know,
Simone be going all day without eating,
and
man.
then she'd be like, "I'm mad," and like, "Why are you mad, Simone?
I'm hangry.
I haven't eaten today."
I'm hangry. Right. Yeah, we can't underestimate or, you know, not talk about the impact of racial discrimination and gender discrimination. Studies show, well documented, what racism does to our oppression, what oppression does to our bodies and our minds. And so, you know, that's very important too. And if we don't, you know, talk about those things, if we don't find ways to stand up for ourselves and call that out in healthy and safe ways, then, you know, it can have a cumulative effect on our physical, on our mental, our psychological. So I think all that goes into women's health, particularly Black women's health. And I don't know if we have this below, but there are studies that show that, you know, Black women can show up at the doctor, white women can show up at the doctor and, you know, have the same problem, but the white women will get the, you know, the correct diagnosis and intervention, whereas Black women are more likely to be sent home or to be dismissed. And that goes even for, we'll talk about this later, but pregnancy as well, and health outcomes for pregnant women, Black women versus white counterparts. So the disparities across race and gender are well documented. So we have to pay attention to that.
A popular phrase that I heard about a week, I don't want to say it's popular, but one phrase that I heard that I really liked, he was referring to Black women as a double minority.
Yes.
And I was like, ooh.
Yeah. Double minority status.
Accurate. Yeah. That's so accurate.
That's bringing something up for me. And guys, if I reference my stroke a lot, it's because other than stroke, I'm fairly healthy otherwise. So I've never been in the hospital or anything like that. Never spent a night in the hospital prior to that. But what Simone was just saying brings up to me when I had my episode, I was at church, and we are luckily blessed enough to be surrounded by nurses and physicians in our congregation, all Black women, thankfully. And immediately, there were 2 physicians that recognized I was having a stroke and immediately got me aspirin, like within minutes. And when the EMT arrived, who was a young white lady, she not only questioned why I was given the aspirin, she questioned the doctor that gave me the aspirin. And I remember hearing the doctor saying, "I'm a doctor. I'm not going to explain to you why I did what I did."
I didn't know that.
Yes.
That's crazy.
Was that Crystal?
It was Dr. Crystal. Yep. She made that move and the determination to do that. And she was like, "I don't have to explain to you why I did this intervention. I knew what was happening." And she was literally getting questioned. And I'm laying on the floor. Like, they're having a whole discussion about it. I'm literally just actively laying on the floor like, "Hey, guys."
What is the name of the EMT? Do we know the name? Do we have the number?
Let me find her.
It's not too late. Excuse me?
Yeah, she was questioning her.
I'm upset now.
And if you know anything about stroke, time saves brain saves.
Matter.
Quick.
Yeah.
Yep.
You got to move fast, because even though we weren't far from the hospital that I ended up going to, still those 15 minutes that it took for paramedics to get there and assess me and then that could have changed my outcome.
Yep.
Tremendously. Yep. So her acting fast, helped save my life. So, while, as Brandon was saying, like, you're questioning us, you're doubting, first of all, doubting her ability to assess the situation.
Think about what she saw.
Yeah.
This is the West End, a bunch of Black folks. Surely there's no medical professionals in here.
Surely not.
Yeah.
Oh, she has no idea. She had no idea. Oh, that makes me angry. I'm upset. Okay. So yeah. I didn't know that. I thought I knew the whole story.
But that's what we have to do with it. And again, just the more I read about it, the more I, read little commentary, listen to commentary about it, just the stress of being Black does so much to your body.
Yeah.
And being Black in a world of white, in a country of white supremacy, that's it in itself. And we can link a lot of things just off of that.
Absolutely. Yep. And again, well documented. And I hate that we even have to buy research, and I hate that we have to say research. Like, lived experiences is enough. Our words and how we describe it is enough. But I also wanted to add to what we were talking about earlier about the double minority status. Don't let the woman be queer. Don't let her, be an LGBTQ plus community.
Yeah,
that's another layer
right there.
Okay, yeah. Don't let them be trans in particular. Like, that's a whole other
That's a whole
thing. That's a whole other show.
Yeah, that's a whole nother show right there.
Yeah. So yeah, disparities all over the place. So we were talking about earlier. Was there more y'all wanted to say about that in particular, or more you wanted to share about your stroke, Tiff, before we moved on to diabetes?
No, we can move. Yeah. I don't want to get mad right now, so we can.
I know. So diabetes, everybody's got it. No, they don't. Everybody don't have it. Diabetes, but everybody's grandmama.
Also known as the sugars.
The sugar is prevalent out here. Listen, I have listened to a lot of people, and there are a lot of people that say it's not going to be cancer that bankrupts the healthcare system, that it's going to be diabetes that does it. And that sounds crazy, right? Because we talk, we do the, wear pink for breast cancer awareness. There are a lot of cancers that we talk about, and deservedly so. They get funding versus, that are common and those that are rare. But diabetes is if you really, really look at the effects of diabetes, it is a total body system killer.
Yeah.
Every single system in the body is affected by diabetes, from your eyes all the way down to your feet. It is a debilitating thing that if it's not kept under check.
And like the other things for us, most of our people don't know they have diabetes until they've had a diabetic episode.
Yeah.
You're right. Yeah. Because I think it's a gift and a curse that the body is so resilient. Like, a lot of people suffer. People are like, man, I don't know why I'm feeling so tired. And they go to the hospital and they have a blood sugar number of like 700. And it really needs to be 120 and under. And it's crazy. The body is so resilient, man. So resilient.
And not only that, I think when we do get it, when, this has been my experience, is that people are not really proactive about trying to, and I know that it sounds like this is controversial, but like reversing it or at least managing it well.
Yes.
People want to do what they've always done and just take the shot. Or take the, like, just give me the shot. And I'm like, well, what does that mean though? Like, is that what you want? And yeah, that's what I want, because I want to continue to eat what I want to eat and do what I want to do. My grandfather on my father's side, I think, had it not been for diabetes, he could still be here, but he had all these health challenges. And on the outside, like, it looked like they were all separate. But now that I know more, I'm sure it was all related to his diabetes, because he had that first, and his eyesight went. And then his legs, both of his legs were amputated. He had heart issues. And I mean, by the end of his life, he was just, not, the quality of life was very poor. And he even said, I wish that I had taken better care of myself. But,
So check these numbers out, right? So I'm on the United States Department of Health and Human Services Office of Minority Health. In 2018, because we don't get these numbers, we don't know what 2021 numbers are, right? So in 2018, non-Hispanic Blacks were twice as likely as non-Hispanic whites to die from diabetes. Right? I don't think that surprises anybody. African American adults are 60% more likely than non-Hispanic whites to be diagnosed with diabetes. In 2017, non-Hispanic Blacks were 3.2 times more likely to be diagnosed with end-stage renal disease as compared to non-Hispanic whites. In 2017, non-Hispanic Blacks were 2.3 times more likely to be hospitalized for lower limb amputations as compared to non-Hispanic whites. And diagnosed cases of diabetes, age-adjusted percentage of persons 18 over diabetes as of 2018, for Black men, 13.4%. Black women, 12.7%. It doesn't sound like a whole lot, but that's like 1 million Black people. For non-Hispanic whites, that number drops down to 8.7 for men, 7.5 for women. So really almost half, right? So that's a pretty big deal.
It's staggering. Yeah.
And what's scary to me is I wonder what the stats will be after this year of COVID, because I know a lot of people are not going to the doctor either because their situations are non-emergent or because they are afraid of going to the doctor because they don't want to contract anything. So how many people are sitting at home, haven't had their sugar checked, haven't had their numbers checked, are feeling some kind of way, which, may by all, in sense of purposes be COVID feelings, just feeling depressed, feeling sad, feeling down, feeling tired, and not going to the doctor to get checked out and maybe actually have some sort of chronic illness.
Yeah.
One more stat that I'm going to throw out that just struck me, because I didn't scroll down as far as I did when I was doing those earlier. Hospital admissions per 100,000 for uncontrolled diabetes without complications, 18 or over. For Black people, 114.1 per 100,000. For white, 36.4.
That is crazy. That's crazy.
That's like 3 to 1.
Yeah. Yeah. And something else about what you were saying, Tiff, people sitting around having, chronic illnesses and don't know it. You told a story a while ago, Brent. I don't know if this person was Black or not, but you were talking, it made me think about how many people are not taking the health measures that they were before because of COVID. So there could be people who were actively working on their health, going to the gym or what have you, being more social by going to the gym, working out with folks that can't do that are not because they're worried about being out and getting sick with COVID. So, both sides of the coin, it's just COVID is complicating things. So,
the amount of research that we're going to do on COVID over the next 10 years is going to be astronomical. They're going to fill whole encyclopedias with just COVID related stuff. It's crazy.
We're going to learn so much.
Yeah.
Yep. Very true. Very true. Women taking care of others over themselves. So, wow.
Hope y'all feel attacked.
I was gonna say I do feel attacked. I just watched that. That's normalized in my family too. When there's a problem, having somebody else, the elder in the family, the woman, the matriarch, coming in and fixing it or shouldering the burden. And I think that our generation we're talking more about that and doing better with setting boundaries, but there's still that guilt and shame that you feel if you let somebody else's problems be their problem and not your problem.
Yeah.
Yep.
I'm laughing because we have it bad, like I know we're actively trying not to. And I've tried to adapt this new mantra this year. Your urgency is not my emergency, but I'm having trouble living up to it.
and see for me as a man, I can get down with that motto all day long. Like, nah, you were supposed to do that last week. Why you coming to me with that? I'm gonna help you, but I'm not gonna stress myself on it.
And, I can do that with work. I can do that with church things, extracurricular activities. I have a hard problem doing it with my family. And I think that's where I see it most, like when Simone was talking about watching our matriarchs like lead the family, carry that's been my grandmother. And before my grandmother, that was my great grandmother. And I didn't get to meet my great great grandmother, but I'm sure she did the same thing. It's like in the nature to try to fix it, or, especially with like things with my grandmother, things I've seen as far as taking care of others before yourself. I will see her cook all the dinner and she'll be the last one to eat. She'll make sure everybody else eats first before she eats anything. I've seen my mother do that before, make sure all the kids eat before she eats anything. So, stuff like that, that's not taking the best care of yourself, because, what if you got 3 Howard boys in your house and they eating like
whoa.
We seen y'all eat.
And listen, Tiff, your grandma has definitely been like, y'all no go babies, y'all go eat first.
You will.
We done harmed all the food.
And she'll get our plate later. But I mean, that's putting others before yourself. I think we just see a lot of that in the African American community, especially just among our women. And sometimes it's not always the best thing. Again, that goes up there with like not listen to your body. Those other silent killers, things that are happening that you don't take note of because you're taking care of everything else, that you don't stop to take care of yourself.
Yeah. I think don't at me, okay? But there's something about Black mothers and their Black sons, okay? There's a dynamic there there's something wrong, okay? there's something wrong with that, okay? I love my son. I love him so much. And it is important for these boys to know that women are not there to wait on you. We are not there to get you this and get you that. We have gotten really good at telling Caden, oh, if we're eating and he is hungry, you have to wait until we're done. And then we'll get up and we'll get you something. Or if you can get it, then get it yourself. And I just think that's so important. Like, I'm not necessarily going to stop unless it's an emergency and you're bleeding out, you know, I'm not going to stop and serve you this thing because you don't need that. And it's teaching you. So let's say I'm a woman, I'm your mother. I know that, but that could be like implicitly teaching you a message about women and what we're expected to do. And I just don't want to pass that along.
Yeah. So, and I'm with you 100%. And I'll say that there is a different dynamic between mothers and sons, but I think it's with moms in general. And I've told these two before that, you know, when my kids were in the house and both parents are in the house, it's actually not good. It's actually better for me to take care of my kids by myself than with my wife in the house. And you'd be like, why is that? Because when my kids see my wife, they constantly nag her about stuff. They constantly go to her for stuff. And they just, because mom is the provider of all things, whether it's food or nurturing or everything along those lines, that's what mom is there for. And it's a difference when mom says, go over there and do your work versus dad said, go over there and do it. Well, shoot, I guess dad isn't going to get me that food. So I guess I do got to go over there. So it's a totally different dynamic, you know, that from what I've seen from just moms and dads there.
Also, women breed concern. Okay, I'm just gonna. I think that we breed concern. So, like, you know, none of my friends are bad parents here, so I'm not throwing stones at anybody or anything. But Brandon did a couple things in the polos this week. Simone were like,
I was like, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
I was very concerned.
And you know, I think it's just the difference. Like, even
it's a difference, yeah.
I'm not a mother, I'm just the auntie. So when I have my nephew who's a toddler over and I leave him with my husband, there's a whole lot of stuff I do, like in between. Like if I want to feed Taj, I got to put on this program. We're going to sit right here in this spot. I'm going to feed him like this. And we're going to, you know, all these things I got to do to make sure he eats. If I leave him with Joe, I'm like, Joe, did he eat? Yeah, he ate. What did you put on the show? No, I didn't put on the show. I just stuck it in his mouth. He ate it. Like, there's so much more stuff I think that we think we have to do, like to make kids okay or to make them comfortable. And the daddies are just like, no, we're just gonna.
If they hungry, they will eat. Okay, are you hungry? Well, then I guess you better eat.
Yeah, I bet you better eat. Yeah, yes, you better eat. And
once the food goes away, that's it.
My wife will get so frustrated because she'll be like, stop jumping on that, stop jumping on that, stop jumping on that. And for me, I'll be like, stop jumping on that. Okay. All right, learn. And then they'll fall and hit their head on something, and they'll be like, and I'm like, I told you not to do it.
My brother's the same way.
Me and Sean are
different way of doing things.
You know why, Simone? Because you are mean. That's why.
I'm like, let him fall. Let him fall. You assess the danger. Is this going to be an emergency room visit, or is this going to need a Band-Aid?
Yeah.
You know, it's fine. It's fine.
That's real, though.
Gosh.
That's real. So going into, you know, taking care of, one thing we talk about a lot when it comes to health and everything like that is exercise. And I know that Tiff is an avid exerciser. She works out at a gym fairly regularly. Simone,
I walk.
She walks. So now I will say this: Simone is queen of the outdoors.
She will hike.
I'm Simone, the mountain woman.
Yeah.
Simone, the mountain woman. Simone is queen of the outdoors. Simone, it is nothing for Simone to go hike some trails.
Yes, I love the hike.
Nothing for her to do that. But from what we've seen, and I'm gonna pull this up. Exercise and Black women haven't always been the best of friends. And it's not necessarily because, Black women can exercise, but Black women, from what I've seen and from what the research says, it's a little bit different. We look at hairstyles, number one there. And so, rocking, Tiff's in her protective style right now on the lock journey. But there's, when sweat's involved in hair, it's a lot that goes on with that. And that can be a detriment to exercise. And I'm going to find that article that I looked at. There it is.
So while you're looking, I will say that used to be me. I used to. I've only been on my natural journey for, this will be my third year, I think. Yeah, third year or so that I've been natural. So Simone natural much longer than I was. But this used to be my thing. I used to get my hair done every 2 weeks. If I get my hair done on Thursday, I'm not working out again until Monday. The style has to last. It has to make it Sabbath. And then once we get past church, it's whatever. It can be whatever. But yeah, that used to be a barrier for me. I had to get over that. Like, had to figure out ways to either do my hair differently or try to save my style in some sort of way, which you can. I mean, there are different types of wraps you can use. You can always just pull your hair up in a loose ponytail, but it took some years. Like, I had to break myself out of the habit of, like, once I hit hair day, I would not exercise again until like Monday or Tuesday of the following week. So I'm missing exercise to save my hair, which is not, it's just hair. You can do it over again. But that's a real thing I think some people struggle with, is like, I paid money for this. So like, I don't want to pay 45, 55, 60, somebody pays $7,500 to get their hair done. Yes. You don't want to, especially if you're getting relaxers, you don't want, no.
I think too, like, even if you are natural, a lot of us started out at, maybe we didn't have a relaxer, but we would straighten our hair a lot. And so you go and you get your hair blown out and you pay money, you got to get that. And then you got to, get your ends trimmed, you do all this stuff, and then you go sweat it out. It's like, no. So I think now women are, I don't know what the stats say now, but a lot more women are into wearing their hair in its natural state. And so I think I wonder, like, if that's made it a bit easier. We talk about my mom a lot on here, and she, works out and is a trainer now, and she straightens her hair all the time. I don't know. She still has hair. I don't know how.
Her hair is beautiful. Her hair
is really long. Yeah.
Your mama hair is laid.
Yeah,
it is, and I don't know how, because I talked to her, like, did you get your heat treatment? She's like, yeah, I got my heat treatment.
But there's not a lot of information about that. Like, we don't get a lot of that, and we're always trying to, protect the edges and, save our styles. And I know I turned to Google when I wanted to know, like, what should I do? Because there's not a lot of people I could ask, hey, when you go work out, how are you protecting your hair? Like, what are you doing to make sure your style stays? So I had to go to Google and YouTube and look up different things that I could try, different things I could do. And then finally one day I was just like, you know what? What's more important, my health or my hair? Because my hair is going to be fine. It'll be okay. We'll get past it.
But it is some of that too. And again, this is a question, almost rhetorical, but a question I'll put to you all. Is some of that because you all have to have a certain type of hair in the corporate world?
Of course.
And so there are some protective styles that obviously could be utilized to make exercise easier, but wearing those protective styles to work, that may or may not be a career move.
Yeah, it could be deemed unprofessional, or just too Afrocentric or something, which is nothing but racism and white supremacy. But those are things that we do have to think about. I don't think, maybe not us in particular, but in general, like, a lot of women do have to think, a lot of Black women do have to think about that. And there's other things, like, for example, I love, like, one of the things I really love to do that is also, if I exercise, it's gotta be fun. Like, I love to swim, right? I can't jump in the pool every weekend. I can't do that. Like, I'm not gonna be able to do that. And it has everything to do with my hair.
That's real.
And you know
That's
what?
So real.
Another layer. There's some things we talked about this before, some episodes back. There are just some things I'm not gonna do now. Like I'm not gonna go riding my bike off of in random communities. I'm not gonna go running, which is something I do like to do from time to time. I may not run as much because I'm afraid of what might happen, not just as a woman, but as a Black woman in some of these areas. So I think that's another barrier too. Like you want it to be fun, as Simone said, something you enjoy doing, but you also want it to be safe. And I think we just thinking past the female part as Black people. How can I do stuff outside? If outside's my only option, and still be safe. I want to still make it home when I go for my runs.
So the National Institute of Health, they did a quick study on this back some years ago. They found that 45% of the Black women that they surveyed avoided physical activity due to hairstyle. 45%. And honestly, I am shocked it's not higher. It wasn't higher.
I'm not surprised.
Yeah, but I think that it's crazy that racism. We get rid of some of this racism, we can save some lives here, folks.
Okay. Yeah. Just a few.
We save some lives here. We can save some lives, man. It's crazy.
Absolutely. And that's our next point is talking about the mental health impact of where am I? The mental health impact. Oh my gosh. Playing into kind of poor physical health. And there's a lot of research to show that is very, very true. That, yes, racism, discrimination, they are stressors, and it's psychological and it is physical. Discrimination, stress leads to immune, neuroendocrine, and cardiovascular functioning issues, just to name a few. I mean, it's just again, I talk about the cumulative effect. So when you experience racism, discrimination, I would say oppression in general, and you deal with that on a daily basis, it's almost like blocks, bricks that just continue to layer on top of you. And over time, that's going to have an impact on your physical health.
I would say that we experienced that in real time this past year. Just, there are lots of unfortunate incidents of Black folks being killed either by police or other. I mean, the murder rate in Louisville was really high in 2020. But just seeing on live TV, George Floyd, Ahmaud Arbery, Breonna Taylor, others just back to back to back, and then having to watch it over and over and over, or talk about it over and over and over, that was like extremely depressing. And then when you watch all that stuff and there's no like justice on the other side of it, like, we talk about a lot how we felt. I think we did a whole episode on how we felt after the grand jury came down with their verdict on Breonna Taylor, but we were just wiped out, like emotionally, physically, mentally, drained after that day. It just takes a lot out of you when you see stuff clear as day, facts clear as day on why people should be charged or should be held accountable, and then you see people in power just look the other way and go, no, we're not going to do that.
I think George Floyd's joint is coming up next week.
Oh, it is on the 8th.
Okay.
Court TV.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, watching that day in and day, I remember being here in Charlotte and watching it on Facebook Live. And I mean, just the outrage, and only for, no charges or like almost no charges, right? For Breonna Taylor. I mean, for so many, it weighs on you. And so, that kind of stuff, racial discrimination, linked to stress, linked to PTSD symptoms, linked to serious psychological distress, even psychosis, linked to depression, binge drinking, binge eating. And those are more on the lines of how we cope with things. People, sometimes when you're going through stuff like that, and you are, marginalized and just, not heard, you're going to reach for maladaptive coping skills. So also schizophrenia and other types of psychosis. And having a strong, positive Black identity, though, has been shown to be a protective factor against anxiety and depression. So it's really important that we lean on one another. And, you know, whether it be your faith-based community or people you grew up with, when you have that, you know, a strong Black identity or whatever it is, if you're a person of color and you're with other people who identify similar to you, that can really help to bolster you and just kind of protect you and buffer you from all the things that are societal factors that are going on around us.
Yeah. You know, for me, I take from that just really having Black spaces, man. Just really having Black spaces. And that's a real important. You used the big word. You said maladaptive. I said, ooh.
Maladaptive.
Breaking out
bad
the big
coping
words.
skills.
The words, you know.
Bringing up the doctoral words.
To Brandon's point about Black spaces, it's not on the notes, but I just thought about this as we were talking. Like, how often do you go, like, in your own day when you go out and do something where you don't think about the racial aspect of, like, going to the grocery store or going into a space, going into your work meeting? Like, for me, I know at least once a day, I think about at least either like how I'm perceived or like what could possibly happen if things go wrong in the space.
Yeah, I have a quick story because sometimes it can go too far, and I'm going to admit that it can go too far. So we went to a zoo last weekend, Zootastic, awesome place, and the chickens and the roosters, they were having relations, okay, out in the open, and so we were joking around and we were laughing about it. So we were leaving, and I saw the white worker, and totally nice person, and I said, hey, I said, you're gonna have some baby chickens running around here because they are really going at it out there. And she said, yes, it's either them or the monkeys. And I was like, monkeys? Why did she say monkeys to me? What is she talking about? Is it because I'm Black? And I thought that's a real concern because Black people have been compared to apes. But at the same time, there's some monkeys out there. There's a lot of monkeys around here. You know what I mean? So I just say that to say it's always on my mind every time I go out the door. And I think that's normal because the times that we're living in. I just think we have to, like I did, like talk myself down. Maybe she could have meant that, but also there are monkeys. You know what I mean? So I think it's always swirling in my head, especially when I'm with my family, when I'm with my husband and my child.
But really and truly, you would have to be naive for it to not kind of be always swirling. And I know that because we are in these white spaces a lot of time, predominantly white spaces, we have to compartmentalize, but it's still there. In some aspects, you know, so it's that type of stress just crazy. Crazy.
Yep. Let's see. So we talked about weight loss. We talked about the difference between Black women and white women and you know, health disparities or all that. But what what were you saying about weight loss? Oh, go ahead, Brandon. I see you.
You see me? You see me ready for this one?
Like, let me in the game, coach.
You see me ready for this one. So there was a study. So a lot of times when Black women, Black people, or more so Black women try to lose weight and they are not successful, there are things that are said about that individual. You didn't try hard enough. You weren't following the plan. You didn't do X, Y, Z. You didn't do this. You didn't do that. Oh, but there is a study that's out. So they did a study, Black women, white women, same exact diet, same exact exercise. Black women lost on average 8 pounds less than white women. So it's not that Black women aren't trying hard enough. It's not because we're just eating soul food. It's not because this, that, and the other. There's got to be some other factors with that. Same diet, same exercise routine, almost a 10-pound difference in weight loss, and not in a good way. So, you know, some people will hypothesize, and we don't really know the difference. We don't really know the reason. Some people will say that it's genetics. Me personally, me personally, me personally will say, as a Black person, especially a Black woman being a double minority, all the extra stress that comes with that, that's going to increase your stress hormones in the body. And we do know what an increase of cortisol is going to do. Cortisol is going, an increase of cortisol, it's a fight or flight type deal, right? Correct me if I'm wrong on some of this stuff, right? So it's a fight or flight thing. So initially, it's not necessarily a bad thing, but too much cortisol or cortisol over a long period of time can increase stomach fat, can also increase muscle degradation in the body. So if we're looking at just some of the facts that we've already laid out, being that double minority, not having access to adequate health care all the time, always being second guessed, always being questioned, always being this, always being that, to me, it makes perfect sense why weight loss efforts would not be as high. Well, because I'm not here to say that white women have it easy, but I'm not saying it either. But
easier.
But in comparison to Black women, white women have it a lot easier, right? And so again, to me, it kind of makes sense, just the external factors affecting the internal body.
For me, stress affects sleep, and as we talked about a few weeks ago, your sleep is important. So you know, if you're not getting a lot of sleep, taking care of other people, not taking care of yourself, I mean, I feel like all those things can just add up and weigh in to why you're not. And you know, we already, as women, we already have weird stuff going on. We already have bloating. We already have, you know, you eat a piece of bread, you blow up. You don't eat a piece of bread, you lose an inch.
You're sad.
We already have strange stuff happening already, you know. So like, I think just adding on the extra stress and then how that impacts you, whether you're sleeping enough, whether you're, you know, getting the amount of rest you need, the mental rest on top of that is, you know, I think it's all contributes.
For sure. And you know, this is something else that I think is important to talk about, is that health and wellness, good nutrition is all very important. But I think because of all the factors that we're talking about, we really have to stop body shaming and this whole sizeism thing, which refers to, you know, stereotypes and discrimination against people who are of size, which I learned is the proper term, is what we would call overweight. What's some of the other terms that we used back in the day?
Biggins?
Big bone.
No.
We're referring to a part of the body. We're talking.
No.
Well, you never heard that before?
Did he say thickums?
I thought he said
bigums. You never heard it?
I have, but usually people are talking about people's thighs, or you know, not the person.
You ever heard like, oh, she a biggin?
Big. No, I've not heard of that. I thought you said thickums.
Oh,
that's one too. I mean,
but that's talking about the rear.
Yeah.
Heavy set.
Yes.
Big bone.
Big boned. Big bone.
All these terms. Because at the end of the day, if you are thin and healthy, you are not a better person. You are not more worthy of love and care and consideration than.
So thin doesn't always equate to health.
Exactly. But we do that in this country. We do that. There's a disgust sometimes with people who are, you know, what we would call overweight or of size. And that is not okay. That's not okay.
We talked about it a couple weeks ago, didn't we? We talked about how the person who created the BMI was actually an individual who believed that black people were inferior, and how, you know, we had, you know, less brains and everything like that. So, you know, that's a lot. But there's one little movement that's starting, not even say little, because it's actually a fairly big movement, not just for Black women, but there is a movement called, it's HAES, healthy at every size. So it's I to say Haas or Hayes or whatever the case may be, but healthy at every size. And because really and truly, a lot of people who are quote unquote overweight don't have health or don't have any health conditions, have good blood work and everything like that. Which to me, those are the things that
matter.
Those are the things that kind of matter. So
yeah. And when we go ahead, Brittany.
I'll say if you are a little what is to say someone who's a little chunky, what does that even mean? Like, what does chunky mean? What does chubby even mean for real?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it goes back to the standards, Eurocentric standards and who defines beauty, who defines what's attractive and you know what I mean? Yep. And that's the function of white supremacy to me. So I think that we have to stop this idea that if you're thin, then that means that you are more desirable, you're a better person, you're more deserving, because there is that in our community of this disgust and shame among big, people who are overweight.
But everybody who's defining what it means to be more attractive is also out here getting the Brazilian butt lifts,
I know appropriation.
Yeah, the lip enhancement.
Appropriation. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So we just have to decolonize our brains and our plates and all of our processes. So
yep.
I just want to put that out there because that makes me so upset when people do that.
Yeah,
you do. It really is crazy how you I think there is, I was reading something online about how one doctor's answer to this one lady's situation was, you just need to lose weight, lose weight, lose weight, lose weight, lose weight, lose weight, lose weight. Finally lost like 30, 40 pounds and her symptoms didn't go away. And she turned out, because the doctor wouldn't order an MRI or x-rays or anything like that. And so he was like, you just need to lose weight. And so person lost weight, and then she ended up having like a serious issue. So, it's
yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, we have to catch ourselves. The last thing on the list, we were talking about Black women and childbirth, and this is something that really, really was staggering to me. I had no idea about, Black women and, maternal health. So even controlling for SES, controlling for education, and some other factors as well. Black women are 2 to 3 times more likely to have maternal death than white women. Was that right?
Yes.
Yeah. And yes. I mean, is absolutely a function of, racial health disparities, and that Black women are more likely to be dismissed and not listened to when we are complaining of pains and, discomfort. And I know when I was going through my first pregnancy, I definitely felt very dismissed by my white doctor. She was very knowledgeable, but I could tell she didn't care about me. I could tell she did not care about me and was not listening to me. And I just thought, well, she's knowledgeable, so that's all that matters. But now looking back, I wish I had advocated for myself to have a different situation. And we have got to advocate for ourselves, because we are dying in 2020, 2021 or whatever. I think they say having a child is like a woman, like it's closest to death or whatever, because of everything that's going on. Mm-hmm. But we can do better than that. And so we have to advocate for ourselves and not take on this strong Black woman, this myth, especially when it comes to having a child. If we have a pain that isn't there, if we don't feel movement, that's usually there, we need to say something and demand that somebody take a look at it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think a lot of people just don't know to advocate for themselves, to speak up, because you think, like you just said, my doctor is knowledgeable. At the end of the day, it's a doctor. It's like taking your car to the mechanic and then you're going to argue with the mechanic about what's wrong with your car. I feel like if I'm taking it to the mechanic, you're supposed to tell me what's wrong with my car. And I think we treat our health the same way. It's like, okay, I know I'm having this, but if the doctor says it's bad, I got to trust the doctor, right? But we have to really push for ourselves, just if something's wrong, if something doesn't feel right, or your questions have not been answered, keep asking. And it's okay, another doctor.
Yes, fire them. Yeah, I remember I don't know if I told you all this, but when I found out I was pregnant with Kaden, I was, 31 and just had never been pregnant before. And I cried because I was scared. And she was like, this is a wanted pregnancy, right?
That was
I was question? Like, that's your question?
What is that?
And
then let me look at
the next question was, or the next statement was, now, just so you know, I probably won't be there when you deliver. What? What? Now that's common that somebody else in the practice might do the delivery because she might
be on. But you don't lead with that.
But you don't say that.
In the
you know what I
opening
mean?
sentence.
Like, come on.
That's not good inside manner.
These things matter. If you don't feel a connection, if you can, find somebody else.
Mm-hmm.
My doctor's Black now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Well, I moved, of course, but now all my doctors are Black. All Caden's doctors are Black.
And you know what?
All Black everything.
I'm telling you, hey, real talk. All of my doctors now, except for my primary, are Black. I got a Black dentist. I got a Black eye person.
Yes.
Hey, listen, it's all Black.
Black and qualified. Black and qualified.
I was gonna say
both. It's not sacrificing nothing.
Right. Sacrificing nothing.
Don't do it for the culture.
No.
Sometimes.
No.
You need to try. Now, okay, it's nice that you're Black, but you're not satisfying the need here.
Yeah.
No, it's all Black and everything over here, man. And the crazy thing about it is the vibe is so it's so much. It's noticeably different, man.
Yes,
it's so noticeable. Like when my kids go to the doctor, and I'm not saying they're like super happy to go, but he's so cool. He's so cool with my son and my daughter. It's just like I don't know if a white doctor would have been able to connect with them like this.
Yeah, and it's doing so many other things too for your kids. It's showing them people in
representation.
There's representation for them.
Yeah.
It's connection. That's just a lot of things there. It's not saying they're more superior than white doctors or anything like that, but sometimes it's good to see that representation and for your kids to see that representation.
Hey, listen, there's a lot of evidence that does say that Black people helping Black people Black providers, doing that for Black patients have better health outcomes. Black teachers, Black doctors, Black all that. So
it's important. Exactly. For your own. And it's not always the case. It's not. And you still have to do your research, but there's something there. And I mean, when we first moved here, we drove almost 45 minutes to get Caden to a school that had the type of demographics that we wanted. And he had a wonderful foundation. So I'm glad we're not doing the drive anymore, but I'm glad that we did that.
Yeah, man.
Yeah. And what does it mean though? Like I don't know about y'all, but growing up, I learned later on that Black people could do all the professions. That was not my first learning. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like the books had with the doctors and stuff had the white folks in them. My doctors were white. I found out later. I had to be deprogrammed to realize, hey, we can do all the things. So I want our kids to learn that, like that we can do all the stuff and then learn later. If they learn later that white people are doctors and stuff, that's fine. But let them see us first.
You know what? Not the major ones, like, okay, obviously lawyers, doctors, nurses, but pharmacists, Black trainers, Black health coaches, Black psychologists,
bus drivers, even we can do all the things, all of them. And it's all good. But, they can find out about white folks doing that other stuff.
I mean, because they will. I mean, because there's just more of them.
Right.
Right. They will.
Right.
Right.
But in the beginning, orchestrate what you see. Yeah, for sure. So here we are at the end of our topic. This is an awesome discussion. I'm really glad that we had. I'm glad that y'all got me up off the couch because
we have disrespected the people's time though, for sure.
I was in the low space. So do y'all want to touch on All American?
I think we have to because the summer, the summer.
Whatever happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Man, some stuff happened in Vegas. I understand now why Jordan won't leave Simone alone because he cannot.
So much is clearer now.
Legally. Yeah.
Right.
Why he's overstepping, because I thought he was overstepping his boundaries like episode 1 or 2 when he was trying
to the foster
everything.
Like, oh, you in that I get it now, play. You that guy now.
Once again, I'm baffled by the fact that the kids with all the money that their parents are rich, their parents got no clue what's going on. Like nothing. They don't know anything.
Listen, I have not seen these kids take not one test in school yet.
No.
Not a one. All these kids do is play football and have sex.
Have the sex.
They do. How did Olivia, how was she on the phone with Spencer in Vegas, and then like it seemed like 2 seconds later she's in the hotel room? Where they do that at? I would have been like, oh well, I didn't get the ticket in advance, I guess I can't go. And she just goes bloop, bloop, bloop,
and then
she's there
flying to Mexico. She's like,
right,
it's not working out here.
Monday.
I never.
Whose miles are paying?
My parents would shoot me if I did that, boy.
Do her parents
Is that the allowance?
Do her parents even know? Like
they still trying to fix the garbage disposal. Right. They don't know.
Billy Baker's trying to come back in.
I'm still kind of burning for Billy Baker. I'm still burning for Billy. I'm kind of Tay is doing something.
Listen, he's stepping his game up. I can't even front. He's stepping his game up, and it's not going unnoticed.
Yeah, no, it's not.
They're gonna get back together.
They definitely get back together.
I think
so. Yeah, but this is crazy. I think the biggest shocker for me was that more did not happen between Olivia and Spencer. I thought they had done the do, and they were feeling ashamed. You know, at the end of the day, all they did was kiss. So I have a very unpopular opinion here. I don't know if y'all share it with me. I'm of the mindset, to quote my friend Brandon, that Layla can't be mad.
No. Asher did pretty much the same thing.
Yeah.
So it's pretty even.
Yeah.
But that explains why she didn't press him about Vanessa.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. But Layla told him they were on, that they needed a break.
They're on a break.
Mm-hmm.
You can't be mad
at
me.
He was trying to stay with her, and she was like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. He was like, I'm going to wait for you. I'm going to wait for you.
Wait for you never works out.
Never. Not in teenage years.
No.
Dude, I wait for 30 minutes.
Especially if you were 18-year-old with the hormones at a Hemi level.
A star football player, you can forget about that.
I know what Brenda would not be doing. He ain't waiting.
Something tells me she's going to be mad though when we come back next week. But she can't be mad.
No,
she can't. Little upset.
And meanwhile, Coop is about to fail the 12th grade or 11th grade or whatever it is. But Coop said,
"I'm so tired of Coop, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm so tired of Coop."
The Coop, you're not part of the Coop troop?
The Coop troop.
Not part of the Coop troop.
You're not a Coop troop?
Not part of the Coop troop.
You missing out on the Coop troop.
Not a part of the Coop troop.
All right, y'all. That we can go on forever. What are y'all grateful for this night? This late night?
Man, I will say this, man. I'm grateful for adult interaction, man. I had kicked it with my neighbors today. It was just really fun to talk with adults and not be stuck in the house and just talk to kids. So it was really good, man. I was outside, we played horse, just taking it, man, having grown man conversation. And it was just like, I really kind of needed that. So, yeah.
Okay. I'm thankful that Coming to America's out. I'm gonna go watch it after this.
Where's Akeem?
Yes. I'm happy that this Senate bill passed. There's money coming through. What did I miss?
Where's Akeem as a son?
I'm trying to go claim some other kids. Who your guy? What's Caden social?
Hey, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Tiff, what are you grateful for?
Well, it's March. Brandon and I have a lot to be grateful for.
Let's go, March.
Birthdays are quickly approaching, but before I get to mine, I have to celebrate my husband's. So I'm grateful for Joel's birthday, which is coming up Tuesday.
What's his birthday?
The 9th. Mm-hmm. That was part of his contract to be a March child and to also have a last name that started with G, so I wouldn't have to change my moniker because that's very important to me.
You're still Gibson to me, okay? I talk about you as Gibson.
It has not changed in my phone.
It's too long. It's been too long. Whatever changed.
To that. Same way I call you Michelle, okay?
Yes, that is my name. Yes.
But thankful his birthday is coming up. Thankful to celebrate, and we're gonna kind of get out of town for a few days. So I'm not doing anything glamorous. We will not be where the COVID resides, but definitely with some other family and just kind of hanging out and taking a remote work vacation because I probably
come back.
Working. You waited all episode.
Me. Oh my God.
Oh,
it was me.
It was you.
It waited the entire episode.
You said you're getting out of town and what?
I just said we're not doing anything. We're not going where the COVID resides. We are
okay.
From some family. Be gone a few days, so I'm excited about that.
Nice. Okay.
Yeah. So we have greatly disrespected your time this evening, but
my mother keeps complaining the show is too long. Like, you know what? Just you're not doing anything. Okay.
That's my grandma be like, it was good, but it was a little long tonight. It was a little long.
What are you doing besides being my mother? You're not doing nothing.
We appreciate y'all watching.
Yes.
Mom, thank you.
Mom, keep looking, please. We need the viewership. Help us.
Yes.
But before we head out, we want to remind y'all we are still living in a COVID world. So please
wear your mask.
Wear your mask.
Mm-hmm. Please wear the mask. We have states who are letting go of the mandate. I don't know why.
No.
But please just use your best judgment.
Yes.
Well, that depends if you have good judgment.
Yeah.
Use good judgment, not your
If your friends don't have good judgment, stay away from them.
They're not your friends, as we talked about last week. Don't surround yourself with those chaotic people once you take your mask off in COVID. It was me again.
We're gonna have to end the show. Your internet's tired. Your internet is tired.
Your router is tired of working.
Said it's done with me. Okay, wash your hands. Wear your mask.
And justice for Breonna Taylor still.
Yep.
Yes, coming up on the year anniversary of her untimely murder.
It's actually Friday. Is it the 13th? Or that's Saturday?
Yeah, today, I believe.
You said what?
I think we from today.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
yeah. It's coming up. So we still want that justice out here for that, for sure.
Yes.
All right, I'm gonna get off here for my internet quits again. So, until next time, we remain
yours.